the story and have some fun with Rhett Palmer.
And now, the most trusted name in radio, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves.
Well, this man has an arresting personality. Former police officer Larry Lawson, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, Rhett.
He has written the book. You can see right on the screen. No need for me to hold it up. It is Haunted Indian River County. I can tell you the font, the way it's put together. You put out your own book. Look how well done this is. It's extremely well. Take a look.
Beautiful.
Mr. Feeney is joining us as my co-host today, and I'm excited to have you here. You were a professor?
I was a professor at Indian River State College. I was the chairman of the Criminal Justice Department, and I was the director of the police academy there.
Wow, director of the police academy. Did you like the movie?
Oh, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that one.
Well, that we could do a whole show on that in the future. I'd like to talk to you about it because, of course, I'm for the blue. I salute the blue.
Thank you.
And I believe that, if you, what's the word, comply, you won't die.
Yeah.
And so we have to have law and order. That's a novel idea, isn't it? Well, welcome to our broadcast. How did you fall into this haunting thing? Was this a peculiar, habit of yours to go seeking out ghosts?
Not specifically. You talk to a lot of folks that are researching this phenomenon, and they had an experience as a child. That wasn't the case with me. I actually saw the first time I saw something I couldn't explain, a full-body apparition, if you will.
You did see that?
Oh, absolutely. And I saw it in the Dade County Jail. I was not a guest. I was an employee. I had just gotten started in law enforcement, and I was working one night, and I saw somebody walking down a cell block. Nothing wispy or ghostly.
Did you see through it, or?
No, it was and I thought it was our lieutenant had snuck up from downstairs to catch us horsing around or whatever. And I hollered at the guys that were with me in the control booth that the lieutenant was on the catwalk, and they got up and they went out the back. One went right, one went left around the catwalk where I'd seen this figure, and they said nothing. No,
I have a video of a guy in a couple months ago on YouTube in a factory, and he's sitting there talking, and his friends see him. He didn't know that the guy had died the day before, and he was talking to that guy face to face. What that other world? I don't know. Well, it's kind of scary,
Well,
because we can't control it.
Yeah. And that's the concept here, I guess, where I'm coming from. You cannot deny that for thousands of years, people of every socioeconomic class, race, religion, have experienced things, and it's crossed every boundary. Everybody can't be crazy or seeing things, so therefore there's got to be an explanation for this, and that's kind of where I've gone, is trying to find.
Here's what bothers me, and Feeney, you might like this: cause and effect. If I play my guitar a lot, I get these calluses as a result. Cause and effect. What happens? Take away the faith factor. What happens when we die if nature messed up, and this energy we wander around forever because there's no effect from a spirit, so there's no cause and effect, and obviously, and nature makes a mistake, and we're in eternity. I mean, oh my God, I'd rather die than be stuck haunting around,
Well, that's the thing, Rhett. Nobody knows. There are no experts in this field. There is nobody with a definitive answer. Anybody that tells you exactly they know what this phenomenon is are either lying to themselves or you. Or they're just not they're not looking at things realistically. Nobody knows what this phenomenon is. We can't deny that it's occurred. There's too much documentation of it.
What are your religious background?
I'm a Christian. I'm a
Christian. Okay, so am I. Pretty amazing, though. It's just I was just thinking about this.
Yeah. I mean, we could spend hours talking about just that subject.
Yeah, and what goes on, and the Bible does say, do not entertain familiar spirits. But at the same time, I have a friend right in town here, Catholic guy, and his niece was working at the Twin Towers in New York State before 9/11, obviously, and she'd wanted this job. She got $200,000 and something a year job. She worked for her whole life. She just got it, and she suddenly quit the job, and she wouldn't tell any of the family members. And finally, it turns out she said, well, the grandmother kept appearing to her and the Twin Towers and said, get out of these buildings. get out of these buildings. If all spirits are evil, then why would this woman who was her grandmother warn her to get out of this building so she wouldn't die, you know? And yet then she'd quit her job and she lived because of that vision of her grandmother.
How do you explain that? And that's my point exactly. How do we explain it? And that's what's kind of taken me on my journey.
You saw this, though. Wow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there was.
Now,
and there-
was it just out of the kind of corner of your
no,
eye?
I was looking straight ahead. He went from right to left.
And was it an officer, someone in uniform?
It appeared to me. Yeah, it appeared. I mean, it was quick enough that I couldn't give a full description of the figure, but.
Now,
my
why did it startle you? Are you in a place where there aren't other people, or?
No, it didn't really startle me at all. I mean, I'm looking down from the control booth down the wing, and I see the figure go from right to left.
Nobody's supposed to be there. You're
Nobody's supposed to be
prison.
there.
Oh no! Okay, that's it. So no one's supposed to be
No,
there, and
no.
you said you made a general call to all points on deck in the building.
Just
saying,
There's a guy
just on the
wandering
floor.
around.
it
Two
looks
guys
like
behind
the
me.
sergeant or our superior officers here. Be aware
So
of that.
My brother, who was an academic, very brilliant straight-A student, was going to be a doctor. He said that he believed that it was leftover energy, which makes sense. If you've got a cop on the beat who does that every night, it could be almost like a movie. Another way, you know, the Bible says in the end times the walls will give forth information. Scientists are saying now even our conversation is going into that wall, just like a CD or a record or recording. We just don't have the equipment to pull it out yet.
And that is one of the theories of the paranormal. It's called a residual haunt. It's energy that is somehow trapped and at some point reveals itself either because something triggered it, time of day, whatever.
What about the grandmother that said, "Get out of these towers"?
Well, we would consider that a sentient or intelligent haunt because they're communicating with you. Yeah. Normally, we would consider residual haunt. They can't. It's something that's energy that's trapped. It's almost playing like it's on a loop.
I can tell you already, you're going to have to come back. I mean, because half an hour is not going to be enough because I'd be remiss. We have to promote your book today.
Well, I appreciate
but we
it.
could go off. We could go in the deep end for a couple hours in the future. But I know people are interested locally. If you live in Florida, what a great thing to do. People are looking for a destination. You go to Big Shots. You know, what else do you do? Maybe you go to C.J. Cannon's to see the airport. Where's a destination when Aunt Louise and Uncle Bill come to town? Well, this is a great idea to take this haunting trips. How often do you take people on tours?
Well, the tours, we do them several times a month, and it's scheduled on my website, IndianRiverHauntings.com. And it's really a history tour. It's designed to introduce people to the wonderful history of Indian River County and how we began. You know, people look at Florida as if it's sand, sunshine, and orange juice and Mickey Mouse. There is so much more to our state and our area than people realize.
A lot of history.
A lot of history. And that is the basis of a lot of what's in the book. And on the tours that we do, both in Vero Beach and Sebastian, we talk about the history, the legends, and then some of the things my guys have come up with on occasion.
So I was just scanning your book, and you had in the back cover you mentioned Waldo Sexton, who was a very influential figure in Vero Beach lore. Waldo was an early settler here, businessman, philanthropist, responsible for so much. But then you say, and his family is widespread.
Absolutely.
And they still have property here, and Waldo is somehow he's been dead for 60 years, and he somehow still appears. Or tell us a little more about that, without giving your book away, of course.
That we could do a show just on Waldo and his influence in the area.
But but like specifically, like how what is his family saying that they feel his presence in a
I took a tour of
demonstrative
that
way?
house this year, actually.
And we've had quite a bit of activity at the house. The Waldo Sexton Estate, Waldo Secret Garden, as it's known as. It's a beautiful wedding.
I was there for some sort of an event.
Yeah, and I've spoken out there. They've had some
Artist
events
event,
out
that
there.
was it, artist.
I've spoken out there a couple times, and the family's very open. I mean, I can't speak for the whole family, but the family I deal with is very open to it. And we've had some pretty exciting things happen.
Very
up there.
apropos, though, because you were a professor, so that's a gift of teaching, and essentially that's what you're doing here on these tours.
Well, and as a law enforcement officer, I also tend to look at things very tactically and tacitly. I mean, I've got to have evidence. I've got to have something I can put my fingers on. And that is something that has eluded the world of paranormal research, is that solid evidence. So we work on trying to kind of bridge between the spiritual and the evidence part of it, and it's difficult. Now, you go to places like Waldo's Secret Garden, it's pretty easy sometimes. I had one incident there where we heard a door slam in the old dairy in the back. Got it on recording and everything. Another team on the other side of us heard it. We all heard the door slam. Problem was there were no doors in there that could slam. And
How old are you, if I might ask?
I shouldn't. I'll be 65 in July.
Okay, so you're 5 years younger than me. This, this could be a whole new career for you. I always think this way, but you could have a national YouTube channel, hence TV show, where you visit different places. You have a great demeanor, great voice, make a nice appearance.
Oh, thank
Can't
you.
you see that? I mean, people are very interested. I mean, if you wanted to have a second career, the only thing is, would your wife want you to travel that much?
Well, she'd probably want me out of the house.
That'd be about right. But
Well,
have you thought about that?
Well, we actually do have a YouTube channel. We don't really do it and locally we had a local folks approach us, and we did a couple of shows that were done in a very professional format.
What's your name of your YouTube channel?
It's at sign Indian River Hauntings 4321.
So we put in
4321.
Indian River Hauntings or Haunted.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I can tell you even exactly.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah,
I want to take the tour.
Well, the tours, a lot of people come
Barbara
here.
will want to take the tour.
At Indian River Hauntings 2341. That's
that an extra card, or-
that's for you. I brought it in for you actually.
Thank you.
Everything has to be surrounded with history here because that's the foundation for it all. If you're, regardless of what your philosophy is on why we see these or experience these things, it has to be founded in history because you're not talking to anybody that's here today. It's somebody in the past. So you must love and embrace history, and you must understand history. So that's where a lot of this. That's where a lot of this book comes from. And we were talking about Waldo. I mean, Waldo's Mountain. A lot of folks don't remember Waldo's Mountain. It came down in the 70s, but it was just across from J.C. Park, right in Bethel Creek.
But we got a lot to. I want to talk about the Ocean Grill.
Ocean Grill.
Do they have any apparitions there?
Well, they have folks that talk about it. Now, unfortunately, my team has not had a chance to actually investigate it. It's a working business, and but
I'm sure Charlie would embrace you. He's the present owner of the Sun.
Oh, I would love to get in there if he would be
Yeah.
amenable to it. But folks have talked about Waldo popping up in there on occasion in a room they call the Blood Room, which is inside there, and he's been said to have popped in once in a while over the years.
He used to give tours of the Ocean Grill and all the artifacts that he found around the state of Florida. But somebody said you'd go in there one week and he'd talk about an item, and 2 weeks later he'd have a totally different story about that same item. He said, well, I'd rather be found a liar than boring.
On my tour, I actually talk about that when it comes to the cross that he had on top of Waldo's Mountain.
Yeah.
He was actually approached by a lady reporter, and how do you know that your mountain is the tallest spot between here and Kitty Hawk, North Carolina? And Waldo's response was
Because I
just
said
that.
so.
Well, Waldo's response was that. I'd rather be known as a liar than a bore. So,
Yeah. I wish I'd met him.
yeah.
So this whole conversation is really cool, and it kind of reminded me that I actually last summer I wrote a short story about a haunting. I haven't published it yet, but I think I might do it on my blog just
Is it
because
based on reality or is it just made up?
it's a little bit of both. My wife and I were at Cape Cod, and we decided we had a lot going on. Her mom had just passed away in a very kind of traumatic way on an Alaskan cruise, but anyway, so we said let's just get out of here and go visit our friends in southern New Hampshire, which we did. It was kind of last minute. It's popular. Peterborough is a popular kind of
That's up near us. We rent a house
destination
for the summer.
there. So I couldn't find an Airbnb or hotel. So it just was. So I had to kind of go out in the hinterlands in this place, maybe 20 minutes from Peterborough, called Jaffrey, New Hampshire.
Okay.
And they had this old hotel that was kind of built in the 1700s. George Washington slept here kind of thing.
yeah,
So I made my Airbnb, and it was like the only thing
So it inspired
left.
you to write this book.
I got to the hotel, and there was nothing in the parking lot. It was like kind of ramshackle, not like the pictures you saw. There was one car and then one light in a third floor room. And then we get in, and there's
stayed
nobody, and there's nobody at the front desk. There's
Did you stay or no?
We did. I went upstairs and said, "Dear, let me go check upstairs first before we commit to."
So that
coming."
inspired the book, though. I mean,
It did.
I got to ask. We're running out of time here. I wanted to ask you this: what about the Ashley Gang? Who was the Ashley Gang? They were famous, and the Ashley Gang's last stand took place where?
In Sebastian.
Tell us about that, because you like cowboys and Indians.
Well,
don't you?
the Ashley Gang, they were a gang of robbers and bootleggers and moonshiners from back in the 20s. They actually were based out of Stewart, which at that time in the 05 to 25, that was actually Palm Beach County. And they were running roughshod all the way up through the coast, and they met their end here in actually it was, I believe, October 30th of 24. They were running from, they were heading up the old Dixie Highway. Folks don't realize that old Dixie Highway was the only thing that connected north to south back in those days.
Gravel.
It was most of it was
That
gravel.
preceded US 1.
US 1 came through in 28. So yeah. So the Sheriff Merritt of St. Lucie County, because at that point in time we were the northern end of St. Lucie County, and he met them out there after getting word from the Palm Beach County Sheriff, and they blocked off the bridge. It's in the, I should tell you where it is, Sebastian, going over into Brevard County, what is now Brevard County. And the US 1 wasn't there at the time, so it was about 600 yards to the west.
Near Miko?
Yeah, right there. And they got stopped there, and they got caught by Sheriff Merritt and his deputies. And
Were they on foot or driving?
oh, they were driving, and they were taken into custody, but they never made it back to Fort Pierce alive. So, well, as it's pretty well known now,
They just took him out.
They took him out. Yeah, there was.
You guys
lots
are bad guys.
There,
We're not going to wait for a judge. We're not going to wait for a judge.
There was actually 2 kids in Sebastian that were watching this. They had been caught on the bridge by Sheriff Merritt, and he asked, "What are y'all doing here?" "Well, we're just hanging out here in the woods, Sheriff. You need to leave." Well, they didn't. They were just kids from Sebastian. They stood in the woods and watched as Sheriff Merritt and the deputies, the posse, took them into custody, and the kids ran back to Sebastian to get on the phones, the crank phones or whatever, to tell the world that the sheriff had caught the Ashley Gang, but they never made it back to Fort Pierce in one piece. And when they got him back to Fort Pierce, "We thought you caught him." Sheriff Merritt, and this is all, of course, literary
They
license.
tried to escape.
Well, we had to defend ourselves. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what happened. They were actually in custody, and they
Why
just...
would you do that with a judge and jury? Well,
1924, Rhett. And these were banditos, and Florida was still the wild frontier.
Yeah, you needed that kind of, frontier justice.
we need more of that today. Well, we're out of time for today.
Oh.
I'm sorry to say, haunted, Indian River County. Maybe by the next time we do an interview, I will have taken that tour with you.
Is that available at the Vero Beach bookstore?
It will be. I understand they bought some, but you can
Amazon.
Amazon can get it. It's also Barnes and Noble.
Check that out.
Barnes and Noble and what's the Books A Million? It's supposed to be on Target. Some people have bought it off Target.
You know what I should have done here?
What's that?
I should have bookshelves here. I should have a bunch of these and only local books.
Absolutely.
And have them here, and I could make a profit for us.
Sure. I'll give you a bunch of my books. You should give me a bunch of his books, and people
Yeah,
should.
he wrote a book called
Locally Grown, The Art of Sustainable Government.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right, well, fellas, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Rhett.
I love the fact you did this, but I
Thank you,
feel
Rhett.
I apologize. We only had a half an hour available on Wednesdays, but we'll have you back, all right?
I'll be happy to
We'll have
come
a
back.
lot of fun talking about these stories.
All right,
Thanks for coming as a co-host.
Thank
This
you.
is the Mayor of the Airways who loves you, baby.